When we speak of knowledge, normally knowledge involves duality because there is the subject and there is the object. And because of this duality, one is able to gather knowledge. I did not know something, now I know. So, this process of gathering knowledge always goes along with ignorance. So, knowledge and ignorance always go together because some ignorance is replaced with knowledge, and when there is knowledge gained, it is still only in the field of ignorance because there is still many things that one doesn't know. So the two go together, and it has its place in the field of transactional living. So when we have to engage in a particular skill or particular way of doing things, we have to learn how to do it. And the more we learn, the better we get at it. And still, the learning is always going to be finite because the material knowledge is infinite. The amount of knowledge that is there about any particular field even is literally endless because that is the nature of this universe. It's infinite. The material energy, which is divine, is so mysterious that one cannot say that I know everything from this process. This process of knowing more and more only reveals that I know less and less. So even at the universal level, there is, for example, what is called as dark matter, which covers a significant portion of our universe that we have no clue what it is about. So the more we study the universe, even at the cosmic level, the more we realize that the more we don't know. So it is infinite in nature. So we can only gather a finite amount of knowledge, and that knowledge is useful for various things. Even the study of the cosmos has resulted in various inventions and so on. And similarly, at our own personal, individual level, we have knowledge of, each one has knowledge of different skills and work related knowledge and all the rest. So that is what is called as the regular process of knowledge. But the realization of our being is completely different from this type of knowledge, because it's not something that we are gathering from outside, but it is rather a revealing of what is already the essence of our being. So the essence of our being, which is what we are inquiring into, is therefore a completely different dimension where it is not a process of having a duality of knowledge and ignorance, wherein the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. And there is always this line between rather knowledge and ignorance. And we try to push that line, which is the process of objective knowledge. So here though, what we are recognizing is the essence of our being, which doesn't come and go, which doesn't therefore fall into the duality of even knowing and not knowing, but it is simply that which reveals itself when the mind is silent. So, normally, when we are engaging in knowledge, the mind has to be engaged in some activity to gather knowledge, and that is necessary for various things. Whereas here, when the mind is silent, it is when this is revealed. So, normally, what we do is we are engaging in identifying with various memories or various projections, and thereby we are creating a false sense of me that is as a veil, acts as a veil for this our true being. So it is one thing to engage in knowledge necessary for transactional living, which is absolutely practically needed, so one can do anything one is interested in by applying one's skills and talents and so on. But what we do on top of that, due to conditioning, due to programming by society, by also perhaps inherently there is an evolutionary reason for it, whatever it might be, we project a sense of me, a sense of self, individual, that is a separate self, which is associated with the knowledge, with the memories, and all the rest. So, whatever memories were gathered are considered as my memories, my knowledge, and whatever actions done through that are considered as my actions. And similarly, in the future, we project and say, this will be my results, and therefore there is either expectation or fear around it. And even in the present, when we perceive something, instantly there is the image making of the separate self that is perceiving it, and through that observer, the separate self, we perceive things, and that is why we have desire or fear or indulgence and all the rest. So this is the normal process among most humans, which is causing all the ignorance and the resultant suffering. So when we are therefore engaged in anything, we are also associating the sense of me with it, and that is why we look back with regret or with pride at anything that happened in the past, because there is the implicit projection that these were my thoughts or my deeds, and therefore one is having either a regret or a pride around it. Similarly, with the future, the desire and fear, and even in the present, when we are perceiving something, there is instantly the image of the mind projected me through which we are perceiving. And because we are perceiving through that image, the image is what then interacts with what is in front of us, whether it be another person or even an inanimate object. And therefore, we are caught in this division. When we recognize all this, that it is the image making process, the process that makes this me which is a false and projected sense of separate self that is causing all these conflicts and various different types of suffering because of that. And when we, through this recognition, when we therefore do not engage in this process, when we are alert and we do not link any memories of the past as me, any projections as me, or even when I'm looking at something, to look at it simply without looking from the standpoint of me, when we are alert in this way, and that is meditation, that is inquiry, self inquiry. Who is looking? So, even when we look at something, it's another way of asking the same thing. We don't have to even verbalize the question, but if we look at it, if we say who is looking, then we recognize that the looking happens, the observing, and there is no observer separate from the observing. It is all one process, but we imagine a separate observer as the image of the me, and through that we color what we are observing, and because of that we have desire and fear and all the rest. So when we in this way look at the way we are projecting this false sense of me, and thereby through this inquiry the I falls away. That is why Upadesha Saram it says Ai patatyaham nija vicharanam. True inquiry is the falling away of the I. Patati means false, aham, I, nija vicharanam, true inquiry. So when the I falls, that is true inquiry. And when the I falls, this false I, then what remains is the sense of being. And that is not in the realm of knowledge, because there is no duality there between the knower and the known. That is just simply the very essence of being itself. So even inquiry doesn't have any place there, because inquiry is only to negate the false I. The real sense of being is not therefore revealed through any kind of knowledge, but it is ever shining. And when we through inquiry negate the false I, then it reveals itself as the ever shining reality of our being. And we cannot in any way objectify it, because the moment we objectify it, we are back in the realm of knower and known. All words are only an attempt to give a hint about it, and by definition they cannot exactly reflect it, because all words are always in the realm of duality ultimately. So when we listen to the words of anyone, even the Upanishads or the greatest sages, they're all saying only that which out of compassion they are sharing and yet cannot be shared. So that is why there is the famous expression in Dakshinamurti Stotram as well, where it is said it is The supreme truth is only described through silence. It says Mauna Vyakya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. So Mauna Vyakya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam means that which is expounded only through silence. So the silence of being is the only language in which this is recognized, and it is also revealed. And that silence of being is neither knowledge nor ignorance. It is transcending both, because all knowledge and ignorance are only rising in the substrate of this very essence of being, which transcends both. And this also brings to another question that some ask about, are we believing anything? Are we sort of hypnotizing the mind into believing something to make us feel better? Again, if we carefully look at it, the answer again reveals itself that any belief is again in the realm of the mind. So if I tell myself that I am the supreme self or I am Brahman, those are beliefs. And there are those who may even encourage such affirmations and all that. But those are again in the realm of duality. So many faiths engage in this kind of affirmation where direct perception is replaced with affirming through faith. And that is done in probably every tradition. And even in the Vedantic tradition, there are many who do that. In the Buddhist tradition, they do that. In all traditions, they do that. But that is a poor substitute. In fact, that is no different from any other knowledge ultimately. And it stays on very flimsy ground because it only requires a more convincing and more powerful belief structure to replace it. Whereas that which is beyond the realm of belief and disbelief cannot be touched by it. So again, when the mind is silent, when there is not even the affirmation of the truth through words or through knowledge, and one is completely still, what is there is the essence of being that does not require any belief or faith. So if we directly perceive this, realize this even for a moment, when the cloud of thoughts, the cloud of me is removed, then that is what can be called as direct knowledge. But it's really not knowledge in the traditional sense, and that is why that word is not the best word. But then no word is realization. Again, means we are realizing something, but it's always present. Perception means, again, normally it implies duality. Here there is no perceiver and perceived. So that's why every word is imperfect. But the essence of it is what matters, the perfume of it. As the traditional example goes, one cannot communicate the taste of sugar except by eating it. We can speak whatever we want about the taste of sugar, but until we eat sugar, we cannot know. Similarly, with this, whatever words we use cannot reveal it as much as simply abiding as this that is ever shining within. And when we recognize this, then we can remain in this through the day, and that is true meditation, where we are constantly alert to not get caught in images, because that is what prevents this peace from shining forth. The moment we get caught in any image of any kind, then we are lost. And that is why the inquiry, the question, who am I, or simply being alert, is all the same thing, because it removes that image making instantly. Even when I, for example, something as simple as there is a amount of, let's say, some tasty food in front of us, the image of me wants to derive pleasure by eating more and more. But if we are alert and present, then whatever the body needs is all that's eaten, and there is no such thing as indulging, overeating, and all the rest. So in even such a simple thing, we can see, if we are carefully alert, that it is the false sense of ego that wants to indulge in pleasures and then regret it. And same thing happens with people. We have an image of ourselves, we have an image of the other person in front of us, and through that image we listen, we judge, we like, dislike, all the rest. So in every interaction throughout the day, we can see the me playing in this way. And if we are alert to all of these ways of the me, of this ego, and in this alertness, it falls away. And when we are, that's why living in a very conscious, alert way, then that is inquiry, that is living inquiry each moment. And through that, we can be free of this false sense of me, and interactions can continue. All the activities, cooking, eating, everything can continue without the image of the me coming and hijacking it. And the sense of being, which is beyond the realm of knowledge and belief, then shines forth on its own. So the key difference, therefore, between all other knowledge and this is that it does not involve gaining anything new. It does not involve believing anything. It does not involve affirming anything. It is that which is revealed when what is false is removed. So all of self-inquiry is only to remove the false, not to reveal the truth. The truth is revealed, but it is not creating the truth. It is not bringing anything new. It is only removing the false. And that removal of false is what is the purpose of all wisdom. So when we read even the greatest pointers of all the great sages, starting from the Upanishads till the modern era, they're all pointing to only this one thing, Therefore, to that extent, their pointers are all very sacred and very useful. But at the same time, it is only in seeing it for oneself that it becomes true. Otherwise, it simply becomes or remains a theory. So that is why the true recognition or true knowledge of this comes when outer knowledge ends. It's not through gathering more that we recognize, but it's through being free of all gathering that we recognize. Someone said, I think that's why that the word Vedanta can be interpreted as ending of knowledge. Anta means end, Veda means knowledge. So Vedanta is normally considered the pinnacle of knowledge. That's one way to look at it. But it can also be literally seen as ending of knowledge. When all the outer knowledge ends, then what is revealed is the inner wisdom, the inner truth.